Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Summit Podcast. Today, I have Valentin Noves here with me. Valentin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Alex. How's it going? Thanks for having me. I don't know how to define myself. I would just go with a beam geek who tries to code once in a while, doesn't do a good job.
Yeah, entrepreneur, high-end developer. Yeah, none of that stuff ever rings a bell with you at all.
No, never. It's hard to call yourself an entrepreneur, right? Because when you say entrepreneur, you imagine something like a god in the in the
or jobless.
sky. Or yeah, true. If you don't have a job, it's like I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
Or yeah, true. If you don't have a job, it's like I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Well, V, why don't you go ahead and tell me what kind of tech you've been playing with lately, developing or using? What's some of the coolest shit you've seen so far?
I guess, well, for sure, AI. Last year was all about AI. Even it was a cool thing because even our clients, we develop a lot of stuff for other people, and they would just call us and say, "Hey, can you implement this?" I was like, "Well, I never saw that in the market. When was it released?" And they say, "Today." So it's amazing because even our clients are pushing for the latest on AI. I guess large language models was amazing. Like nowadays, you can just create your own GPT, and that's something that we have been doing a lot for our clients. How to access data, like data on a BIM model, a construction code, how to use AI for construction codes and verify a model, or even it's not large language models, but it's more of a generative AI, generative design. We have been playing with automating workflows, like like any type of workflows when on the either on the beam modeling or in the beam coordination side. So that's a lot of what we have been doing for the past year.
So I'm gonna blow your mind here. So for listeners out here, me and Valentin have worked together in the past. Valentin, what would you say my experience of developing at all was, or ever? You can let me have it. Let me have it.
I guess it was fun for both of us for sure.
Okay, so that's the polite way of saying that I was horrible. Yeah, I was a challenge. Well, I have been playing with AI lately, making my own GPTs. So you'd be pretty proud of that. And actually, I was in a little get together downtown over here in Idaho, and they were talking about OpenAI and a new AI platform called Ad Prompt, which is a GPT. But the stuff that I learned there alone, I bought ChatGPT for. I've made like 10 GPTs already, customizing assistants and calendars, including Zapier. Like I can see it on your face. You guys can't see it right now, but Valentin's very impressed with me right now.
I'm proud.
I love working with AI, and I can't say enough. Me, just I wouldn't say I'm the smartest guy in the world or the most savviest with tech. I'm over here making 64 ads in an hour or something like that for my company and things like that. It's kind of insane what AI can do today. And actually, there's an open AI called Open BIM AI, and I know it's kind of trademark right now, but I don't know if you heard of Kirk Stockey. Well, he developed an open AI that's just AI for BIM. So if you had any questions or concerns or want to learn about BIM at all for any BIM question, this GPT has learned everything about it specifically for this industry.
That's cool. And I think what you just said about you creating your own GPTs. By the way, you're a smart guy, so don't say you're not. But I think that's the magic and behind everything, that the bar it's so low, not for dumb people, but I mean for like 10 years ago, you used to have like I don't know, master degree in some sort of weird language to use AI. Nowadays, you don't have to be a software developer, and I feel that's amazing. that's amazing because like so many people can be working on this, and you can get the same quality as a software developer. So it's amazing.
What's kind of nuts too is my wife's been wanting to make children's books, and I was like, use ChatGPT, start getting some like good ideas, get it out there. Start. She goes, yeah, I don't know, and I showed her. I have it on my phone now. I was like, here, sign up, and next thing you know, she's making books, and I gave her an app that generates images and stuff, and she's doing all that. So it's really AI seems really scary, and when you think about it, it's like, oh, that's a whole lot of stuff you got to learn, but in reality it's all out there right now for everyone to grab and like use today. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, there's no excuse for that. And this started like less than 2 years ago. So imagine how things are gonna be in, I don't know, 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's scary, but it's exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Well, when Skynet takes over, Terminator was a documentary. It's going down in history.
Well, there's even I think it's an MIT doctorate or something like that that got famous lately because it says that AI right now AI is not that smart, right? It's just taking information that's already out there. It's not
right.
It doesn't have consciousness, right?
Right.
That's going to happen.
Teach it, but it's not. Yeah, it's not conscious.
Correct. That's going to happen eventually. Everybody says that we're so like it's going to take decades, but when we get there, this guy says that like it's the relationship between us and AI is going to be like dogs and us. Like it's not going to be a threat for us, but it's going to be smarter than us, and we have to admit that and work. We live with it. So I want to believe in a future like that, not Skynet, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so I put AI and robotics kind of hand in hand. I've been talking to some people like this past year, and there's some robots that be coming out that are like the consumer home robotics that are going to come in and do your dishes. And there was a whole talk of like, how much would you pay for someone to come in and do your chores for you forever? Right? Is that 10 grand, 25 grand, $1,000? Like if you can automate a task that you do every day, and you think about it, everyone out there, if you do your dishes every day, if you take out your garbage every day, menial tasks like that throughout the house, and now you've bought this robot and invested in it to do those things for you. Now add AI on top of that. So now it's learning your routine, and it's turning lights on, and it's, bringing you toilet paper because you're out, that kind of stuff. And so I think that's kind of the future we're headed towards, and I want to believe that it's going to be a very good one, but there's always Terminator in the back of my
mind. At least enjoy the ride. For a couple of years, it's not going to be that dangerous. So at least for now, just enjoy, and you can just kick a robot or do something like that, because in the future they're going to kick you in the ass.
All right, Valentin, I want to know your journey from where you started. I know currently you're out of Argentina. Like, I want to know from your humble beginnings to now business owner, entrepreneur.
So everything started like 40 years ago now. So I guess I'm an architect as a background. That's what I studied. But when I think it was 14 or 13 years old, my mom sent me to programming classes. At the time, I was like, Mom, why? Why do you send me to this awful thing? I remember that I used to learn, it was a little bit of COBOL, and then some language that nobody uses anymore, and then HTML, because web was just HTML and it was just the beginning. So a couple of years later, when I got out of college, I remember that even in the last years, I started selling algorithms to my teachers. College, we're architects, and I started selling algorithms to automate Python algorithms for 3ds Max, so they can automate their rendering process.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, well, I can use this technology thing, programming thing to get actual money. I started after college, I started a company with a couple of my friends, and we started doing assets for the gaming industry. So when you're playing a game, and sometimes people, they don't know how to design buildings, so they have to go to architects to model and design buildings for games. So that's what we used to do, and we started automating that process. But at a certain point, it got a little bit boring because it's pretty much always the same thing. So I sold that company, and I became a BIM director. So I started working for, yeah. It was a hard transition. I remember that I started using a little bit of Revit for doing the gaming assets, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew a little bit about Revit and BIM, and I knew a lot about coding. So started being a BIM manager, and that started to being a little bit boring too. Like, my thing, it's technology, and it's amazing, but at the moment, I remember it was the second release of Dynamo. It was those yellow Dynamo nodes. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
really old.
Was
I
that
don't know if you remember.
2008, 2009? Or was it like,
It was, yeah, 2000, something
yeah.
about around 2008 or 9. Yeah, didn't even know tutorials out there. Um, and that was my beginnings on the industry, like actually programming like stuff for Beam. Um, and then started playing with the Revit API a little bit more. And so I was working for this company called ENG Works, right? They're well known in the BIM industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I I told my boss, who was the owner, like, why we don't open like an area where we develop stuff for the AC, like on top of BIM processes. And that's what I became a director there. Open an area. We hired more than 30 developers. And started working with big names, so it was fun, right? Then I moved to Vegas, and
So it got all boring again. Yeah.
well, every time I say I lived in Vegas, everybody looked at me like, "You monster! Why did you do that?"
Oh.
Uh, but it was, for me, it was an amazing place, and I became the BIM director for a casino called Resorts World. At the time, it was the largest private construction company in the U.S., so it was a
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Had more than 80 people modeling and coordinating models for the project, so it was a kind of a big challenge at the time. Uh, and then we even started playing with algorithms on how to, like, basically get more of your money when you get into a casino. So playing with sensors and the layouts, and suggest layouts on how you can improve a casino. Uh,
To trap
and
those
then,
guys in there and gamble more and
yeah, well, yeah, I'm not super proud about it. I'm not super proud about it, but it was fun for sure. Uh, and yeah, and after that's when I decided, like, I want to have my own thing, uh, and started Evers, and that's what led me to meet you and so many cool people that we're working right now.
Mhm. That's it. That sums it up. That's your whole story. Great. Good to
Yeah,
have you
that's
on. No.
my whole story. can,
What
can I get?
so what stands what stands out about your story is you kind of went from game design to BIM. And I've probably said this on every show so far, is there's a big gap right now with people wanting to go into architecture, engineering, and stuff like that, and game design. You know, back when we were kids and we were like, "Oh, gaming is cool," and your parents were like, "Go play outside." You know, game design was something that were like, "Oh, we'll never. That's not an avenue." And then esports and 3D scanning and all this stuff and development came. Now game design's a big thing. It's like a huge 180 shift from how many people were in architecture and engineering to now all those people are now in game design. And we have a shortage of people who can do BIM. So I think what I'm trying to get across here is, like, game design directly translates to BIM. Period. Your story, what you was talking about, like making 3D assets, which, by the way, technology has come so far. If you got an iPhone You can go out there and scan any object and sell it right from your phone for a 3D asset.
Yeah.
And I think that's the coolest shit. I'll go scan all the fucking microphones and food and go outside and get a lamppost.
And even sell it. You can even make money out of that.
Which is so silly. Like, to me, that's silly. But to people out there who are in game design and need that asset, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, imagine, like, if you're making a game out of, I don't know, India. You're not going to travel to India, or, like, you can just get the real thing from a guy living there. So, like, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, gaming, it's so similar to BIM. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you know coding and developing.
Yeah, but even that has changed a lot. Like, right now, there are platforms like not only Unity and Unreal that you still need to learn to know how to code, but there are platforms like Godot or or Play Canva these are like free platforms, open source platforms that you can use to create something even without knowing a single line of code. So, like, even that has changed a lot. So I guess today it's more than ever truth that BIM is really similar to gaming.
Yeah. I mean, there's a direct plugin from Revit to Unreal Engine. Twin Motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
it's
crazy. It's crazy.
There's even a project that I saw a couple of years ago that I want to. It doesn't work anymore, but I want to recode it again. That you can import a Revit model into Minecraft. So it converts everything into a Minecraft building.
Who was I talking? I was talking to someone actually, because they're doing the opposite. They're not doing it anymore, but their kid is out there doing Minecraft and doing all these buildings and stuff. And I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were like, how can I translate that to BIM? And it's like, you're just talking about software, like, show them. Here's a button, translate it.
There's even a project online that it started with New York. They modeled the whole Manhattan, real scale. So there were thousands of people modeling Manhattan, like taking pictures and going to Minecraft and modeling the whole city of Manhattan. And I think they started that project, and now you can do it with most of the cities in the US. So maybe you can start with Boise, or you can help model Boise a little bit.
Yeah, if anyone's playing Minecraft and they want to model Boise, let me know, hit me up, and we'll figure that out. I got a cousin. I showed him what I did for BIM and modeling and stuff. He goes, "So can you do game design just like that?" And I was like,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah. And I was like, maybe. I mean, we could put it on Unreal Engine. There's blueprints. We could do a whole game with blueprints. That's also insane thing. Like, if you want to get into game design, and let's say you're like, okay, let's say 16 on the internet, right? You get Unreal Engine, you download all these free platforms and learning things, and you make a full game out of Blueprint, and then you sell it. Like, there's all this software out there that's absolutely free. You can monetize out of it. And I think, like, a lot of people don't realize the translation between game design and BIM. And, like, we can take a model of, let's say, the Notre Dame Cathedral, right? That one's a huge project, got 3D scan. They rebuilt it to, like, the chipped brick facade, because we had laser scan data. And you can take that, bring it into Unreal Engine, and make an Assassin's Creed game out of it. All because it was modeled and scanned for BIM.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel that it's going to be even more incredible nowadays because the interfaces are getting much better. Like you said, you use for modeling, you used to have to use, I don't know, a keyboard and a mouse, right? Nowadays, you have laser scans, but also you have tools like, I don't know, if you know Argyle or Arco. These are like startups that you can just plug into a HoloLens or an Oculus and not only navigate a building, but also move stuff or even model stuff. So the game is changing a lot. I don't know what is going to happen when the new Apple headset is going to be released next year. That I feel that's going to also be a game changer in terms of interfaces to interact and create 3D models. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's going to be awesome. I want to talk about everything you just talked about is so nonchalantly thrown around in the industry because we talk about it every day. HoloLens, Oculus, Apple, the new VR headsets, right? What the goal of my podcast, the goal of what we're doing right now is to get those kids that are coming out of high school or don't know what they want to do, talk about, hey man, do you want to play in VR every day? You want to do construction. Hey, do you want to 3D laser scan an entire outside of a building? You don't know what that is? Come with me, I'll show you. That's construction. You want to put it in twin motion and model and make materials and stuff? That's construction. It's no longer hand drafting. We go from this whole thing of, I took a drafting course. That's what my associates was in, right? And it was hand drafting. The technology portion was like 2 semesters of 30 different software, including Revit and SolidWorks and 3ds Max and countless others, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to reach them better. Is the fact that like, hey, I'm trying to like shake the younger generation, and be like, yo, play games, join construction.
Yeah, I feel that technology is the way, because they live in a virtual environment. Like last year when I went to AU, there was a booth where you could there was a weld simulator. So basically, if you're a welder, you want to learn how to weld like 2 pieces of steel. You do it on VR, and it looks exactly the same like you're doing welding. So imagine you could be at your house and using a robotic arm or something welding. No, you don't need to be in a like shitty shop like when it's like minus 30 degrees out there. You can just be from your house playing games like you said. So I feel technology is it's kind of the way to bring the new generation to this.
But everyone wants to do game design. That's my struggle. Is like, no, you want to be a welder because you could do this, or you want to be a plumber because of this. Like imagine a VR world where you're a master plumber and you got a bad back. You don't want to retire, but you can't work out in the cold anymore. You can't grow under houses. You can't do all this stuff. Okay, let me give you a VR headset. I want you to design the thing for here from your lazy boy. Like, I want you to model this plumbing and for this building. Like, that's the point we're getting to. And it's not only the younger generation, it's the generation that's coming out that doesn't want to retire but can't move. The less than 40 or 40-year-olds that have busted knees now because they've been, doing all this stuff for years and now they're having trouble walking. I'd like to think that they would adopt it, but I also I know some of those people and they're a little hard-headed in changing their ways.
Yeah, but I feel you have different problems in terms of generations. True, a lot of people who are older are hard to convince to try something new, but with younger generations, it's also hard because they just want to do one thing and it's having fun, and it's when you're working, it's not only about having fun 100% of the time. I wish it could be like that. So you're also having problems with younger generations. We are all the time trying to hire people who are younger generation, thinking that they're going to perform amazingly, and it's hard because they sometimes just don't come to work for 3 days in a row because they had a concert in Iowa. I don't know. They don't like it. You have challenges with younger generations as well, and it's you have to be more flexible. They're not going to show up 8 hours or 12 hours every day like a guy who is 50 years old is going to do it. So I feel it's not an easy path with both of them, but I think the good advantage of younger generations is that for us, when we hire people, bringing developers who are younger, it's easier because if you have to like program a viewer in the web for a BIM model, it's exactly the same as program something for a game engine. So you are giving them the gaming engine experience, but doing construction. So at least for us, that's the path that we have found for them.
In the past, I've hired game designers, and they have absolutely slaughtered people coming in without construction experience, these game designers take it to like pig to mud. I'm like, yeah, hey, by the way, here's Revit. Have you played The Sims before? This is Sims for adults. Oh, and this little thing right here, this dynamo thing, that's your playground. You can make this program do whatever you want with that thing, right? And you leave them alone for a week, and next thing you know, the whole team has these dynamo scripts that they're using, and your efficiency just skyrocketed. There's a lot of, like you talked about, the younger generation, there's a lot of freedom that you have to give for them to allow to be creative. I think some stuff that like I've grown up with, yourself going into these businesses, it's very structured. This is what you do from 9 to 5, 8 to 5, right? And you do every step, and then that's it. You're here to work. You do this thing. But what we got to do now is we got to encourage. You're here to work, but I want you to be creative with the work that you're doing. Realistically, you're getting 6.5 hours of actual productive time from a person working 8 hours a day, right? That whole stat's been everywhere. Give that person those last hour and a half and be like, yeah, do what you want. And your productivity, you're still 6.5, but now you have that extra hour and a half of creativity for them to, hey, I've had this problem all week. I hate doing this repetitive task. I'm going to learn how to develop code. Or actually, you know what? I made a macro for my keyboard so I can just hit a button.
Yeah. Like what's something that we have implemented that I feel goes really well with younger generations, it's something called gangs. That it's something that we took from Spotify. So when Spotify was smaller, so what you do is basically, like you said, like 80% of your time is gonna go to actual work or a project or something like that. Then the rest, 20%, goes to gangs that you create across the company. So let's say everybody who knows, I don't know, gaming engines, and people who want to learn gaming engines as well, they get together. They have a lot of hours to come with really efficient ways to use that technology and processes with that technology, and they can be free and play whatever they do with that specific technology. And we have many gangs for different topics, like, I don't know, boring stuff of programming, like backend, front end, gaming, 3D stuff. And it's amazing because they feel so free and they create so many amazing things that they wouldn't be able to do it if they have to be working and thinking about that at the same time. And for us, it turns out to be a great investment, and everybody's so excited for those meetings every week. So,
look what I did this week. Experience. Right? Yeah. You know that thing you struggled with the past 2 years and it was a pain in the ass? Yeah, I fixed it. Here's the solution, right? I remember having meetings like that with a team when I was doing just like handbook stuff, like standards. You go around the room and be like, yeah, so is this working? And everyone's like, no, but I did this thing and it works really well. I was like, cool, let's try it for a week. And next thing you know, it's like, it's a standard. This is 10 times better than anything we did before. Because he had the time to work on it and say, look, this workflow is way easier. You're wasting 6 extra clicks with this. And the click thing, just in Revit, the more clicks you do, the less efficient you are. And so everyone's about getting the less clicks and hotkeys and stuff.
Yeah. And it's about being patient, right? At the same time, because not every time they work on something will turn out to be something amazing, right? You cannot expect them to be produced. Sometimes there are bad ideas or there are things that take them to nowhere. So I also think it's about being patient and have more flexibility than what our parents had with us or our bosses had with us. I don't know.
What if you have no patience? You just want to get it done now. What do you do then?
There is no way. Just quit. You cannot be a boss or an entrepreneur if you have no patience. No way. No way. Yep. It's like I have a mentor who is a great entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, and he told me the secret about running a business is about being calm and playful. If you cannot be calm and playful to take decisions, that doesn't mean you are not going to have to take hard decisions or fire people. But you need to be calm and patient and playful. Sorry. Like if you don't have those skills, he told me, Valentin, you know what? If you don't have those skills or you're not willing to work on those skills, I'm not going to be your mentor because there is no way you're going to be successful. So Still working on them, by the way.
I was gonna say you're a little stiff, yeah.
I am still, but still, at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying. Otherwise, there's no way you can work with younger generations if you're not.
Right. Yeah, you gotta take input, you know. And I remember I had a car problem when I was younger. I'd always buy cars. I had a very much what do you call it? Spontaneous. That's totally wrong. I'm gonna get killed in the comments for that. Spontaneous impulses to buy, you know, the guy in Craigslist that's like, yeah, I ran when I parked it. I'm like, cool, I want that car. I think by the time I was 21, I've had like 10 or 8 cars or something like that, right? And for me, it was about being patient. Like after that, I had to I can't buy cars anymore. I got nowhere to put them. I'm on my own. I'm dating this great girl. I got to have a working car, and I had to sell them all. And now that I'm older, right, I'm just looking at Craigslist. I'm like, oh, that'd be so sweet looking at my driveway, right? And I'm like, I can't do it. With Strive, what I'm doing now is just going with the flow, right? And I'm hoping to bring on some younger people that can help you kind of go with the flow. But if you stress over it, right? If you start thinking that your passion is now a job, right? Then it's time to rethink something that you're doing. And I fully believe that.
Yeah. But I also think that's a good thing about younger generations, that they have more. I feel they have a lot of passions for so many things. So if what you're doing aligns with their passion, they're even willing to do it for free or put a lot of effort on it. Compared to us, for us, I feel we were born in a generation that it was more about being successful, making money, making amazing things, and not so much about, well, can I make money and have passion about it? Passion doesn't matter that much. And nowadays it's more of like, yeah, they want money for sure, but it's more of like first passion then money, I guess. And I like it. I like it.
Are they happy about doing it? Do they have good work balance? And like I've definitely come to grown to learn to do that. I've definitely had some poor habits in the past of like putting in the extra hours, which don't get me wrong, the extra hours are good to put in when you need to put them in, but you know, putting the extra hours in all the time, coming in way early, coming home way late, and you know that really burns you out. It really does. And so I am a big believer of like, you clock in, you clock out, you're here to do a task. While you're here to do a task, let's not make it miserable, right? Let's have some fun. Let's, you know, just the other day, where I'm at right now, we had a game day, you know, and it was like cool. 2 hours or an hour in the middle of the day. We were like, yeah, what do you want to play? You know, we just got on a Zoom meeting and played a game.
What did you play?
Things like that. Yeah. What do we play? Well, we did like a game called Werewolf. It was basically like 2 people were werewolves and the rest were villagers. And so every turn a werewolf would kill someone and the villager would have to say who it was and kill someone. If the werewolves were alive or the villagers were alive, that's who won. It's very interesting. And I'm sure there's many variations of that. What else did we play? We had the trivia thing, but it was everyone on the screen just kind of having a good time and talking about it. And that's team building. And team building is something that I think is often overlooked or just another thing that someone has to do at a company. So yeah, we're doing a team building exercise. Everyone come to this lunch, and it's like, I don't want to go to the lunch, right? There's things like that I think team building has to be included with everyone on the team deciding what that team building activity is. So everyone can enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's something that we don't see often in the construction industry. Like, you get to the job site, you do your thing, you go back home. That's it. And it's not like team, even among trades. You know, you have been in construction as well, construction sites, that like even trades don't collaborate with each other. And it's, dude, we're all trying to get a building as fast as possible. How on earth are we going to do it if we don't collaborate with each other? So even the processes are not thought in a way that the different stakeholders are going to work with each other. So it's just crazy. I don't know. For me, it's just crazy.
There's a lot of room to grow in the BIM industry as far as coordinations and like projects and extensive, stupid long BIMX plans. You know, BIMX plans are great. and it's just sometimes they're just too much. Right? You can write everything out and call to it, and that's a big CYA, a big cover your ass for a lot of companies, and it's also a big pain in the ass for others.
I always like to compare like a construction project with holidays. If you're planning a holiday or a vacation to, let's say you're going to travel to Mexico or whatever, like everything, nothing is going to turn exactly as you expected. Nothing, because that's how life works. Nothing ever is something as you expected. In like a Gantt chart and made it on time on a construction project in the world ever period, right? So why on earth do you like overthink and plan everything on like a beam plan for a project? For sure, you have to plan things, but
Right,
you need to be
coordination
flexible enough. Yeah, absolutely. But if you overthink about everything, it's going to be worse because you will never be able to like do exactly as you planned because that's not how life works. People get
right.
sick, like there's bad weather, uh, your computer breaks down. There are changes. The owner doesn't like the design that he committed to 2 weeks ago. Now he wants to change everything back again. So that's how life is. We're not robots. We're people.
I was part of a project where we were about to go and start on it, and then it got pushed for another quarter. So during that push, they decided to redesign. So model was done, sheets were done, ready to start producing, and hey, we're gonna change up the floor plan a little bit. We're gonna add these 2 other bedrooms and bathroom, and so, yeah, I was pretty much done at that point. I was like, come on, seriously. Well, we had the time, so we figure we do this and get more money from state, and you guys can take care of it. Yeah, there's a lot of that's in the construction industry that I think, like you talked about, there's better communication coordination we can do. But there's also so much software out there that can help with that. Like, incredible amounts of software. There's so many plugins now. There's so many third parties that are like, yeah, let's coordinate for you. I mean, where I'm at, we can run coordination meetings as a company. You can also use Revitso, Navisworks, BIM 360 if you dare. There's a lot of different places that you can go for coordination. It also depends on, is everyone up to speed on that? Well, the fire protection guy is still in CAD. The sprinkler guy is modeling it in SolidWorks, so we'll get you an export there, an IFC of some kind, And so then you, as the mechanical or electrical or plumber, if you don't have all the stuff in 3D and you're coordinating between 3D and 2D, it's very hard to get everything on the same page. And like you said, you're going to have mistakes, but you're going to have more if you can't see everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like you said, it's more about people and not technology because technology is out there. And but it's hard to implement technology in our industry. It's hard. Like other industries are so far ahead of us. But I think that's changing a little bit in the last couple of years.
I think it's the embracing of change, and you're gonna hit a hot button for me, man. The way we've been processing documents through either state or government has been the same forever. It's a paper document or a PDF to some guy at a desk going through each page by page by page. Not a 3D model, not BIM 360 that, majority of the people around the platform are using. Not saying, hey, this version is what we're building, and then them going through and, looking at the model and the version that they're building and saying, no, this has to be fixed, this has to be fixed, right? It's all page documents, which in reality don't give you the full information. Half the stuff on a construction document, all that is basically field interpretation. Yeah, there are some rules to follow, but it's up to the plumber, the electrician, the mechanical guy to build that so that it works for the engineering drawings. That's the way we still run it, even with all this tech. If someone out there knows a workflow, a 3D workflow, where you can submit a model to state, which I think might be getting there, I want to hear it. I want to have you on. Give me a call. Message me, because I want to talk about that, because it bugs the crap out of me.
There are people working on that, like app codes tried to do it, and like we even did a small plugin for a county that wanted to receive BIM models. If you wanted to submit a BIM model instead of drawings, but in the end they just got into the Revit file and started exporting the PDF out of it, so it was pretty much the same. But I also think that's a huge challenge, because like even if you, let's say you have all the money in the world and you want to pay us, for example, to build something to automate the checking of the code and everything of a model for accounting, there are so many standards that you need to set up in place, because otherwise, like even if there is a typo, if a typo on restroom or a lobby or a kitchen, how do you find the naming of the rooms? How do you find the type of materials? How do you name materials on a model? How, like, we need to work so much on a standard that it's going to be hard. But my guess is, if a county defines a super straightforward standard you can follow, and then pays enough money to automate that, that's possible. Absolutely, that it is. The technology is out there. It's just a matter of some government willing to put the money on that.
Let's go full circle here. Let's go full circle here for a minute. Okay, so they spell lobby LOBY. Could AI interpret based on the documents he's looking at and all the references that LOBY is LOBBY lobby?
It could, but what if instead of lobby you put kitchen, and it's supposed to be a lobby?
That's up to you. That's a developer's thing. That's your job.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, AI is not powerful enough nowadays to deal with that. Even like Midjourney and all these companies are processing amazing 2D images. A lot of companies are trying to do 3D and they're struggling. Nvidia and all of these companies, they're getting there, creating super basic 3D models, like I don't know, a frog, I don't know, a door, like separate things. They're small and concise. For AI to be able to have like topologic like comprehension between 3D elements with properties on it, it's a long way until we get there. It's a different story than creating like 2D stuff like Midjourney does. The complexity is exponentially larger than that.
So I have a question, and this may be
party pooper here. Sorry to be a party pooper.
Yeah, way to be a party. No, so I watch this YouTube channel, Quarter Digital, and they do a lot of deep fakes, and they do a lot of they use scanning and polycam and all that stuff. Is there a way to teach AI through deep fake what a lobby is? Like, we're going back to the simple problem where, like, instead of lobby, it puts kitchen. Is there a way you can deep fake AI, deep fake and learn or teach the AI that lobby, LOBY, is lobby? And that's like the most simplest way I could put it. And everyone, you're probably like, Alex, you're an idiot. quit asking stupid questions.
That's actually a really good question. The thing is, we come back again to the standards. Like, if the building it's empty, how do you define what a lobby is? And how do you define what a room is and what an office is? And that might vary depending on the designer a lot. Or even if, let's say, dumbest example, let's say bathrooms, I think is the easiest, because there's going to be a toilet. You're not going to put a toilet in the middle of a room. But what if you put a toilet because you're dumbass and you just drop Rabbit Family there? It's so hard that the algorithm is going to work then. So that's the problem. You have to have a model such complete and with such standards to get there. That I'm not saying you cannot do it, but my guess is that you need to be able to get at least 90% of the cases, or the edge cases. Otherwise, it's just going to be like just 10% or 20%. And for that, you need standards and you need so much information and complexity that it's not as easy as deep faking, like what a cat is and what's not.
Right.
Have you seen the pictures that they show dog muffin dog like a cranberry muffin? So it's exactly the same, and not even AI can separate one from the other. So
okay.
But it's 90% precise. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like, you know what? We're I don't want to get off topic here because you and I could fight about this all day. I don't think we're fighting. Discuss all this because, like I said, I've been getting deep into AI today and this past weekend, and so I'm like, my mind is racing of like everything I can do. Why don't you tell me more about Everse and what you guys are doing right now for the community? Because I think some of the stuff you're doing with some of the startups is great, and then I did just see you kind of talk about, was it Everse Learning?
Yes, Everse Learning, exactly. So, but basically at Everse, we're a bunch of architects, civil engineers, geeks, and software developers that we provide services and lately some products too for the AC. Most of our clients are AC startups. A lot of them we cannot even name them because technologies sometimes it's really confidential. But we're working with an amazing brands out there, trying to disrupt the status quo of the industry. And one thing that it's something that we suffer every day, and that's why I want to bring Learn is for us. It's really hard to get people from the industry that knows how to code. It's really hard, and this is something that I discussed with Fed. Fed was the former owner of Case. They sold it to WeWork. Now they work at Canoa. He owns Canoa, which is an amazing startup too. Mm-hmm. And we were discussing that we all have the same problem. It's easier to teach an architect how to code than to teach software developer about the industry. So that's so much harder. So for sure, you need to have software developers no matter what, because they know the hard stuff like software architecture, DevOps, testing, algorithms. But most of the people you need are people that comes from the industry and teach them how to code. And for us, finding people out there, it's like unicorns. Like it's so hard because there are so many people out there that say they're architects and know they're software developers, but in truth, they're not. They just know a little bit about a language. They don't know about software architecture, deployment, testing, like front end, back end, UX, UI. Like they just know a little bit about some specific piece of knowledge of coding. So that's why we decided to start working on Learn, which is basically a section where you're gonna have everything that you need to get from being an architect or a civil engineer or structural engineer and become a software developer. The idea is to start even with the basics of computing till like you're going to decide your path of front end. Sure, you want to use Forge or APS, how it's called nowadays. We're going to teach you that. You want to just call Dynamo nodes because you're going to create your own package. Sure, we're going to teach you C# with Dynamo. You want to use the Rapid API. Sure, we're going to teach you that. And so we're going to release a press release. We're partnering with eGlobal Training.
Which awesome.
Are the biggest, and we're partnering with them so we can provide the content through their platform. So this amazing partnership is going to help us and help more people in the industry because we need to hire more people that wants to take up to the challenge and become a software developer. So
so I mean, you are the perfect reason why I started what I started, because you said, I mean, and that's for anyone hiring BIM right now, they're looking for unicorns, every single one of them, right? And so what Strive is basically just a database of a bunch of people, a bunch of unicorns that you can search through and say, I need a developer and I need an architect. And then you can also say, I need a developer who knows C# and Python and has built an app. And that will all show up in a search result. So I love that you're looking for the unicorns and that you're training them. That is massive. The fact that you're going to build these people up. I would hire. So opposite for developing, I would hire game design and teach them construction rather than construction and teach them game design or teach them Revit. I think. Well, I think construction in the BIM space is it's all hands-on training. Knowing Revit, knowing BIM, that's a trade. And I say it's a trade because if you just started off at a new company, and let's say you're working for an MEP or an engineer firm, now you got to know how to plumb. Now you got to know how to run HVAC. Now you got to know how to run gas and water. And now you got to know how to run circuits and electrical, which you had no training on.
Correct.
And it's for the guy in the field who knows what he's doing. And that's a big gap we have right now is everyone's looking for these specialty people. I want a guy who is an electrician who does BIM. So does everyone else in the world. I want a person who knows electrical and BIM. Well, that's probably more, you could probably find that person, but you're better off training that person or getting that person up to speed on your standards and what's supposed to put out.
Yeah, and that's why I have already told you not because you have invited me to your lovely podcast, but like I feel that Stripe is great because like you need to separate the good from the excellent or the good from the bad, right? Like nowadays, if you go to LinkedIn, sure, you search BIM managers. There are thousands of BIM managers out there, but how do you know if the guy knows the trade or not? And if you could provide me a platform that specifically shows who is a real BIM manager, who knows his trade, who has experience in the field, and have all the people saying, yeah, this guy is great. LinkedIn, it's amazing, but it's super broad and it's not specific for our industry. So a platform like Stripe, it's something that I feel that we are all looking for in our industry nowadays.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I'm working on it. We'll get it out there. Tell me more about this AEC Works.
Well, AEC Works, it's a cool effort that Guy Talarico, a legend in our industry, started like 5 years ago. I remember that at the beginning I used to check the website. There were like 50 startups only. So we purchased the brand and we coded it from scratch. And we started as a directory of AC startups. Nowadays we have almost 800 AC startups out there.
Wow.
There are a lot. Most people, when they want to implement technology, they don't know what to implement, right? They say, I want to do, like you said, something that checks the construction code automatically against my BIM model. So, but there is no place that you can go and search and say which companies are working on this. And that's what AC Works it's trying to solve is providing with all the companies and what they are doing out there, so you can find the exact product that you want to implement in your company. We have also added a couple of sections like investors. So if you want to raise money, on investors in the AC. And we're soon to release events section with all the events on the AC per year. And our final goal is to create a marketplace where you're going to be able to basically purchase and manage all your AC products directly from our website. So that's AC Works.
That sounds pretty amazing to anyone who ever deals with the AEC industry, period. So the events one, just the events alone, which, by the way, I think you gave me a little sneak peek of it, I believe. But the events, having them all listed out and say, yeah, I'm going to do this event and this event, or I'm going to pass this event, or I had no idea this one was going on in my backyard, right? Having that available is massive. I think that's huge. As soon as you tell me it's a go, I'm going on there and I'm planning my year out. I'm trying to find out events I'm going to be at and kind of, get out there and get noticed. But it's crazy what you're doing. Is having all that in one place is huge for the AEC industry. So thank you for doing that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, right now it is free to use, to go on there and search all those softwares, all the programs. And And I don't know what your plans are in the future, but having access to something like that, again, for anyone in the industry is pretty big. So appreciate that, Valentin. That's awesome.
No, it is. And our idea is to keep it for free. Like, we
Okay.
don't want to charge on that. We're not going to make money on that. We want it to be a community where anybody can get there and get the information they need. Because it's something that we even need. As every time someone comes to us with an idea, it's our mission to first advise this person. You know what? You have competition. Are you sure you want to create this on your own? Or do you want to go there and just purchase it without having the need to deal with the hurdle of development, which is not easy.
Right.
So it's something that we have suffered, and we hope nobody suffers anymore.
I appreciate that. Well, Valentin, I appreciate you coming on the podcast with me. If you want to leave anything for the listeners out there, where they can find you, how to contact you, learn about Everse more, where would they go?
They can, if you want to know about Everse, they just go to www.e-verse.com, or they can just search for me in LinkedIn, Valentin Noves. On Twitter, it's the same, Valentin Noves, and my website is www.
Awesome. Well, V, thanks again. I appreciate it. And I'll probably have you on again at a later date.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Alex. It was really, really fun.
All right.